All right, welcome back. We had a holiday, had a lot of rain here in Chicago. So, here's a question I get a lot. Matter of fact, I think this is the most common question. You get a lot of questions about the disc, because we treat more disc than anybody, but also get a question about the best exercise, or give me an exercise, Dr. Jeff, give me an exercise. And this question is, what is that exercise? Or why? The most common weak muscle when you have back pain, herniated discs, and what to do about it. Because there is one that tends to be the most common. And a lot of times people say, it's the core. Core is very, very, very important. But it's not the most common weak muscle. And this weak muscle, when you have it, it perpetuates the problem. It sort of creates the problem, and then it makes it worse if you don't fix it. And there's a right way to fix it, but it's not the core. The core is important, and you have to do this in the right order. If you do it in the wrong order, very often you don't get better. I get this a lot. I tried therapy, it didn't work. I did the exercises, it didn't work. Because there is an order. And if you do it out of order, you don't get better. We have a pathway out. We've been doing this 25 years. We've defined it very, very well. So we know it's not the core. What is it? It's the glutes. The glutes tend to be the most common weak muscle that causes your back pain and your herniated disc. That can make it worse. This is obviously the glute, and she's doing a squat. Now the squats are very important, but you can't start with the squat because the spine can't maintain that load, but it's the glute. When the glute is weak, what it does is it causes certain muscles to get tighter. Now the question is, why does the glute get weak? Now I've talked about this a little bit, but it's important. And this video is about the weak muscle, it's about strengthening the muscle, but it's also about the right order. Okay, if you do it in the wrong order, again, you're going to make it worse. Now, we get weak glutes for two reasons, and it's a cycle. They tend to cause each other. Number one, we live in a culture where we sit all day long. The seated position causes the hip flexors to get tight. When the hip flexors are tight, which are these muscles right here. So here's the spine. Hip flexors are these muscles right here. When you sit all day long, that muscle gets tight. When one muscle gets tight, the muscle that does the opposite activity gets loose. It's called reciprocal inhibition. It slowly turns off. Okay, they turn the switch to off. They call it glute amnesia. Okay, can't remember. All right, but it's all about this hip flexor that gets tight, causing the glutes to get weak and turn off neurologically. And then when the glutes get weak and turn off, what happens is the muscles in the low back get tighter. Because now they start to do the work of the glutes. Glutes turn off, muscles in the low back get tighter. These muscles get tighter, but also the hamstring muscle gets tighter. Which muscle is the hamstring? Right here. Why does the muscle of the hamstring get tighter? It gets tighter because it's doing the work of the glute. The glute's not doing what it should be doing. It's the largest muscle on your body. Most important muscle in the body. Most activities that you do throughout the day require the glutes. Certainly getting up and out of a chair requires glutes. In and out of a car, walking requires glutes. So most of our daily activities require the glutes. Super important. When they turn off, this muscle does the work, and then the hamstring muscle does the work. Tight hamstrings. Tight hamstrings are directly associated with back pain, typically because there's a weakness in the glutes. Strengthen the glutes, you don't need to stretch the hamstrings. Hamstrings are only tight because they're doing the work of the glute. That's not about this one. This is about the erectors. These muscles back here, when they start to get tighter, the erectors, what do? They start to pull on the spine. And when they pull on the spine, you start to compress the disc. One vertebrae on top of the other, 24 vertebrae in the spine. In between each vertebrae there is a disc. When the muscles in the back get tighter, it starts to compress the disc. The disc is like a jelly donut. You've heard this. I know you've heard this. The outside of the disc, there's a thick material. Inside the disc, there's a jelly. Too much compression forces the jelly. The disc is designed to function best when the stress is right through the middle, but when you change the stress, what it does is it starts to force the annulus into one direction, the nucleus starts to push out, and then you start to develop a little tear, and that eventually can lead to the herniated disc. So the annulus starts to tear, and then the disc starts to push its way out, and you'll develop the herniated disc. That over time is going to cause you a great deal of trouble. Now the question is, how do you fix it? What has to be done to fix this? There's 4 steps. Number 1 is you have to start to eliminate the cause of the pain. So you have to decrease the pain and decrease the inflammation. This load on the disc will start to cause a little tear. Simple activities then will start to aggravate the disc. We have tips. There are 10 tips. The tips are designed to help you sit better, which is what this is about, but also how to get out of a chair, how to get out of bed, when you should start moving around, when you shouldn't start moving around because sometimes it's too soon as well. So those are the tips. We start with the tips. I'm going to put a link over here for the tips. When you get to the end of the video, you can click on that link and you can go get the tips for free. They're free. Okay? Start with the tips. You decrease the inflammatory process. You decrease pain. We use specialized pro-resolving mediators as well, designed to help decrease the inflammation. When you start to feel better, you can start to add more function. So you feel better, you decrease some of the pain, and then you start to add endurance to the muscle. This is the key, stability. I talk about stability all the time. What's stability? Stability is these muscles holding as they should for the length of time necessary to function throughout the day. That's endurance. Endurance is the ability for the muscle to function over a long period of time. If it fatigues quickly, the motion gives out and you actually start to cause more problems. So you want to make sure they don't fatigue quickly. So you will start to add some endurance and then you restore motion. You restore motion to the hips. Tight hip flexor, decreased motion. Not uncommon. Tight hip flexor, you start to do squats, you have a lot of hip pain because the muscles are pulling too hard on the joint. So you have to sort of activate and stretch some of those tissues and restore some of the motion, okay? But you have to do it after you have endurance. And you have to do the endurance after you start to feel better and decrease the inflammation so you don't make it worse. This is why people do the exercises and sometimes say, you know what, it made me worse. Because you did them too soon. Everybody wants to do the exercise right away. Okay, it's a delicate process. If you do it too soon, you're going to get worse. Start with the tips. Again, get your tips for free. Add the endurance, add the motion, add the strength, and then you develop it for a lifetime. It's not hard. It's absolutely not hard, but you have to do it in the right order. We're developing a program that you can do at home that walks you through the order. You do it right, your life gets better, dramatically better. Trust me, I had back pain for 10 years. My back pain was an 8. We solve problems in the spine and we solve problems in the discs. If you have a disc problem and you're not getting better, we can help you. We treat some of the worst backs on the planet, period. We can do it. This is what we do. We have a lot of information on our Facebook page, the YouTube page that you're on right now. Subscribe to it, like it, share it, comment on it. Our goal is to change the world. You can help us change the world. If you have back pain, you're not getting better, you can call this phone number. You can come see us. Also, click on the button here, and I think there's going to be one over here as well for the tips. They're very important. People don't understand how important they are because it's the first phase of getting out of pain. You have to avoid the activities that make it worse. Sometimes you do them and you do them by habit. You have to develop a new habit, but it's easy. Once you know what you should do, it's kind of like the first time you learn you got to brush your teeth. You didn't learn it because your parents taught you when you were a kid, but If you didn't know, and all of a sudden you went to a dentist, say, what do I got to do? He says, you brush your teeth every day. Okay, same thing. There's certain habits that you develop, solves your problem. Those are the tips. That's it. It's Tuesday. You got to go home starving to death. All right. Give us a call. Come see us. We're here to help. Get the tips. Be careful. Have a good day. Goodbye.